I'm Sal.
I'm Beth.
We are the brewery lovers. An interesting day in California. Beth found 4 breweries, all within a short distance of one another, all over 4 rating on Untappd. And we thought, we've been talking about doing a video about Untappd. This seemed like the opportunity. Untappd, spelled Untappd, right?
Yes.
No E.
No E.
It's a mobile app. They do have a website, but don't mess with it. It doesn't. It's not worth messing with. It's a mobile app, and it's really kind of our go-to. People always ask, how do you choose the breweries that you go to? That's a couple of ways. One is Untappd because it's convenient, and it's for the most part pretty accurate. We also get recommendations from other brewers.
Yeah.
Go to a brewery anywhere, and the guy or the girl behind the bar will always say, "Where else are you going today?" And we often get tips that way. Local people, that's
Are sometimes helpful.
yeah. I will also call the homebrew supply store in the town, because those guys, they're all beer nerds. Like, they know where the good breweries are. So it's a combination of all those things, but Untappd is probably our primary source.
The only other thing you didn't mention is I look at the Great American Beer Festival winners.
Naturally. The Great American Beer Festival is this ginormous beer competition in Denver that's held annually, and they give out a lot of medals, and it's highly competitive. So that's also a pretty good guideline.
It's helpful. Not everybody enters the GABF.
Yeah, I mean, it's not...
So a fabulous brewery won't necessarily have been a winner there.
Correct.
If they don't enter, they don't win.
It's very expensive to enter, and so not every brewery plays that game, but the ones that do, generally speaking, unless it's a fluke...
Are standouts.
Yeah, they tend to be standouts because it's so competitive and so many beers are entered in every category, and you really have to be outstanding to rise to the top in that situation. So that's pretty much what we do. So Beth found 4 breweries. I forget the name of the 4th because we didn't go there.
We didn't make it to all 4.
We only had time to do 3. We did Moonraker and Shred and Moxa. We don't know how it's pronounced. Anyway, interesting because, as you'll see as we go through these, our favorite, Moxa, was the highest on Untappd, and our number 2 was number 2 on Untappd, and our number 3 was number 3 on Untappd. Tracked just exactly how you would expect. Now, that does not always happen, okay? A couple of things. Mm-hmm. One is that location is huge. So a 4.0 in California, not the same as a 4.0 in, name a place.
The middle of nowhere.
Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Las Vegas has a couple of good breweries. They don't have any amazing breweries. So a 4 in Las Vegas, or a 3.9, compared to a 3.9 in California or Oregon or Washington State or Asheville, North Carolina, you have to kind of weight it. Like a 3.8 in Asheville is probably a 4 something.
Yeah. The more craft beer focused the town is, or the city is, the high numbers mean really high quality.
Yeah, the more accurate.
If you're the only brewery in town and you have a 3.8, it doesn't mean that you're the same as a 3.8 in San Diego
Correct.
or Asheville.
So we take that into account, too, because we don't get free beers. We're buying these beers. Every now and again, we'll get an industry discount, mm-hmm. because we always talk about, oh, yeah, in the brewery where we work, blah, blah, blah. And then, you make a connection and tell a story.
We give them stickers.
Yeah, we give them stickers. They give us stickers. But we hardly ever get a free beer. I would say a couple of times a year.
Yeah.
When they find out we work in a brewery, oh yeah, try this one. But that doesn't happen very often, almost never. So as a result, we're pretty careful. We don't want to spend money on mediocre beer. We used to do that.
There's over 9,000 breweries in the country. We can't visit all of them.
No, of course. So we have to be very choosy.
Yep.
In the beginning,
selective,
yeah. In the beginning, we'd go to a town and try to do every brewery town.
Which we learned was a mistake.
Oh, man, was it ever? Most of these breweries...
I don't like pouring out beer I don't like.
most of these breweries suck. What are we doing spending money here? So now we're really careful. In fact, I'll show you the bell curve. Most of the breweries are in the middle. They're kind of okay. And then on the tail ends, really bad, like dump it in the plant bad. And we've been to a couple of dump it in the plant breweries, which will remain nameless. And then on the other side of that bell curve, that's the good stuff.
Yeah.
That's where we want to be. And that's where we tend to be, because that's, we do a lot of homework. People say, how come you don't rate breweries? Well, if we go to your brewery, it's a good brewery.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, if you make it to the channel, you're doing the right thing, because we just don't bother with mediocre places. We learned that lesson many years ago.
Yep.
On to Auburn, California.
Yep, we started that day in Auburn, California with Moonraker Brewing Company.
Really beautiful place, although it looked like an office complex.
It didn't look like a brewery from the outside, but
Yeah.
once you got in, it definitely had a brewery feel.
It probably wasn't built as an office. 'Cause
No,
this looks like a doctor's
Insurance
office.
company, or I don't know.
But they have
offices.
they have the whole bottom floor. Lots and lots of barrels. Apparently, they do a lot of barrel aging, but we stuck with the traditional stuff. Typical setup. You're having your beers next to these fermenters. What was nice is that the fermenters were all painted up,
Yeah, they had cool art.
which is unusual. I haven't seen that. Alchemist.
Yeah.
Alchemists up in Vermont, they paint their fermenters. Most places do not. Again, more barrels, tons of barrels. Real nice patio, although it was cold that day. We didn't sit on the
Yeah,
patio.
it wasn't really an outside day.
Lots of stuff on tap. Just a nice vibe. It was clean, super comfy.
Yeah.
It was funny, though, the guy, when we got there, we thought, well, the beer must be pretty good, because there was a guy in front of us getting six or nine growlers.
6 growlers filled.
A growler is 64 ounces, a half gallon of beer, and he was getting 6 of them filled. The bartender was quite busy with that task. Hey, do you have beer?
I do have beer.
Hey, she's got
Careful,
beer.
because I
Look
already
at that.
cracked
She
it.
already opened it. What do we got? Super Psyche? Super Psyche.
Yeah, this was a hop that I was not familiar with.
Is this the one with Super Delic?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Super Psyche. I can't read it sideways. Wait a minute. Yeah, 100% Super Delic
Yeah.
hops, which we've also
It also has Citra, which is
we've
one of
also
my favorites.
encountered that in other places.
Yeah, now I'm looking for it.
Nice label.
Beautiful label.
So, and he was so cool, this bartender, because we said, man, that was a big job. He's like, yeah, man, it's all good. He was...
It is all good. When you're the beer tender, you want somebody to be happy and go home with something they love. But it takes a little focus away from everything else. It just takes time
Yeah.
and focus.
Yeah, I don't know much about Super Delic. I get a lot of tropical fruit.
Yeah, I did
I get
too.
more tropical than citrus. What do you get?
Yeah.
To me, that's like sweet fruit, tropical fruit.
Yeah, apricot?
Yeah. I was thinking melon, cantaloupe.
Cantaloupe?
Yum.
Obviously, we're not eating enough fruit as we travel across the country, because when we were training to be beer judges, like, I would buy everything, not all the same week, but in the produce aisle,
Yeah.
and like really
You gotta buy
taste things.
You gotta buy oranges, lemons, and then you have to eat the flesh and drink the juice
And the pit,
and,
and the
and the
zest.
rind.
just so you get all those flavors
Yep.
in your tasting vocabulary.
Well, you don't have to. We don't need fruit. We have this. Wow.
But then I'm like, I think I remember what an apricot tastes like. They're not in season right now. So.
Look, you can either eat an orange or you can drink a beer that tastes like an orange. That's a no-brainer.
Gotta have your priorities.
I do both because the oranges are a good source of vitamin C.
Yeah.
Anyway, over to
Oh, and I wanted to say about Moonraker, one of the things they do that I really love, they have over 1,100 solar panels. So they have enough to run their brewery and to make their beer, and they're still, like, banking.
that's cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
Well, Ludlam Island Brewery, they don't really advertise it. but in Cape May County, New Jersey, is one of the few solar breweries in New Jersey.
Yeah.
So they inherited a large solar field when they bought the building, and it worked.
Yeah.
So kind of cool.
We split a flight. It was early in the day, so this is one of the ways that we do more than one brewery. We split a flight, so
Yes.
we each had half a beer
Half
when
of
we
one
get back
beer,
in the car.
exactly.
And so you had 3 different Czech lagers, check the boxes, 12 degrees, and a Czech amber, and you like the amber best. And I had I think it was called Outrigger
West Coast.
West Coast IPA. I guess I was having a West Coast kind of day there.
No, you had a New England too.
Okay.
Lazy Jack.
Oh yeah, because I had little tiny ones.
Yeah, little tasters.
I also had a hazy.
But I don't know if you've ever heard this. The common wisdom is if you go to a sushi place, order the eel, because that's the hardest sushi to make. Order that first. If it's good, then you know the place knows what they're doing. You can order whatever you want. In my case, it's Czech lagers. They're very difficult to make well. Bad beer's easy to make. Don't ask me how I know that. But Czech lager is difficult to make. It's expensive to make, not for ingredients. Well, the hops can be pricey.
Yeah.
But mainly for tank space, because it takes a long time and it ties up your tanks. So that's kind of my canary in the coal mine beer. I'll have a Czech.
I don't like that analogy though. Canary in the coal mine. No, that's what you send in to find out what's really bad.
Okay, what's a better analogy?
I don't know. We'll have to come up with a better analogy. than
Signal
that.
beer?
Okay, that's good.
So I go for the Czech lagers. I like them, number one. And number two, it's a really good gauge. If a brewery's making a good Czech lager or Italian Pilsner, like Love the Milan Brewery in Cape May County, New Jersey, not that we're biased or anything, you know that the brewer knows what he or she is doing. That's basically it's a good test. It's an acid test.
There you
That's
go.
the
That's
analogy.
a little better.
All right. So over to Shred, which has some relationship with Moonraker. Like there was the same ownership, or the guy started a bunch of breweries in this area, something like that.
Yeah, it's just not it's not that unusual for a brewer or somebody to move from one brewery to another. It happens.
Yeah. The beer was excellent, and I really like the vibe here, the best out of the 3. It was really comfortable.
Comfortable, friendly,
and
well lit.
Yeah, not too big, so kind of cozy. This guy, everybody's a comedian. He saw me with the camera, so he got up to straighten out his hair, even though he had no hair. That was fun. Skateboard theme, Shred, skis. Great bartender. Knew the product, super friendly, super attentive.
Really easy to read board.
Yeah, the board was...
Like, you knew exactly what the beer was. It was easy to read.
And we're old.
Which is really helpful, because sometimes you're like, I have no idea what that says.
We're old. We prefer an actual sign, not a screen, a TV
or a
screen.
paper that I can find the right depth from my reading glasses.
The TV screens are tough because sometimes they're so small.
They're flipping.
And then they flip. Like you're reading the description and then it flips. You got to wait like 4
2 more
screens later.
screens.
But yeah, it's okay. It slows you down, I guess. Not a bad thing. Really, really nice place. And the beer was quite good, I thought.
Yeah, it was excellent.
Do you remember, what do we have over there?
I had one called Advanced Dankology. It was a West Coast IPA. And you had Noble Crusher.
Over to Moxa.
Mm-hmm. And the last one, Shred and Moxa, were in the town of Rockland, which is near Auburn.
The other one is Auburn.
Yeah, they were pretty close.
But they were all near each other.
Yep.
Which is what made this day kind of unusual. Beth found all these 4.0 breweries, like right around the corner from one another.
Yeah, Moonraker was 4.11, Shred was 4.14, and Moxa was 4.19.
And in California, so
yeah,
that's saying something.
It is saying a lot.
It didn't look like much from the outside, but when you got in, boy, it was impressive. The place was huge. Again, lots of barrels.
Staff was super nice.
Yeah, it was bright. Look at all these windows. Super clean brewery. That's always a good sign.
Yep.
Like really clean. As Because that's the thing with beer. If the place isn't clean, you might have issues.
Sanitation is always an issue.
It's not a hard and fast rule. We've been to super clean, bright breweries that make terrible beer. And we've been to places that look like your grandmother's attic with cobwebs that make really great beer. But I tend to appreciate a clean brewery because I think it's
like restaurants. If you saw the kitchen, you'd want it to be clean.
Exactly. It means they're paying attention to details. Does not mean they know how to make beer, but they're paying attention to details. The beers here were again, this was the highest rated Untappd, and it was our favorite.
It was our favorite, but they were all great.
They were all excellent. This particular day, Untappd tracked very well. Unlike, we've been to a brewery that was super highly rated on Untappd. It was a mob scene, number one, and they had all these tutti frutti seltzers, like a rainbow hues.
Yeah, you look around the deck and all these glasses of pink and blue. It was like they were drinking, what's that soda?
Oh, not Kool-Aid. Mountain Dew?
Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
It was just all these weird bright colors. And not beer.
All millennials. They all had little kids. They were all having a ball. It was a fun place. They had pizza. We didn't have it. Obviously, we never do that. But everybody else there had pizzas on their table. Place had a monster rating on Untappd. The beer was not good.
No.
It wasn't bad, but it was no way what their rating stated on Untappd. So that was the exception to the rule. Meanwhile, there's another brewery like a mile away. Unbelievable beer.
But almost empty.
Nobody there.
But
what's going on here, people?
The ratings of Untappd are crowdsourced.
Yes.
So if you have a large group who that brewery is making exactly what they want, even if it's not what we would choose, that local following is going to create that what we think to be elevated rating.
Yeah. And it's pretty rare. It's pretty rare to go to a 4-point-something brewery and not find really exceptional beer. That's one of the few exceptions. Of course, the brewery will remain nameless.
Of course. We're not going to say anything about
that. The other thing we've found is the big guys tend to get hammered. Like Sierra Nevada, New Belgium. Like pioneers in craft beer. And we can't figure that out. Like, you cannot get a bad beer at Sierra Nevada. We've been to both breweries in North Carolina and in Chico, California. No, there is no bad beer there. So why are they just a 3.8 or something, or 3.75? Yeah. We don't know. We have theories. One is that they're the big guys, so everybody loves hating the big guy. That's a possibility. They're also restaurants. For the most part, Untappd doesn't really take food into account.
It's not supposed to. It's supposed to be about the beer.
Yeah, that's more of a Yelp thing.
Yeah, if you want a food rating, you go to Yelp.
But couple out on a date, they go to Sierra Nevada. They didn't like their hamburger, or they had
service was
slow service, or somebody was having a bad day in the kitchen. We don't know. Maybe they give them a bad rating.
We don't know.
We just don't know. Also, Sierra Nevada is everywhere. You can buy Sierra Nevada in just about any grocery store anywhere in the country except New Jersey. Because they don't sell beer in grocery stores.
Oh, well.
And
it's available in liquor stores.
Yes, any liquor store. And that may hurt them. I had this conversation with Billy one day.
Familiarity?
Yeah, the guy who owns Ludlam Island. If your beer's out on the street, if you're distributing a lot, Billy's analogy was pretty smart. Well, Billy's a smart guy. If you're sitting in your living room drinking this beer, you may be more willing to say, 3.6, If you're in the brewery and you're having a great experience and the bartender's amazing and the music's playing, Maybe it's a 3.8 this beer.
Maybe.
So that's another thing. We don't know. This is all theoretical.
If anybody has any real insight,
let us know how Untappd works.
Know.
But yeah, we found that the big guys tend to be underrated.
Correct.
And with very few exceptions, the smaller breweries, Untappd is a pretty accurate barometer. We find it to be our most valuable tool.
We were also in a town near Lake Tahoe, and there wasn't anything on Untappd that really caught my eye.
I'm so glad you remembered that.
But we were speaking to somebody who lives there, and she goes, "Oh, I love this brewery." So we checked it out, and we loved it
great.
Too.
It was really
Service
really
was great. The beer was really good. The names were fun. There was a huge community activity going on there. They were playing D&D.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Great vibe.
Not even.
We asked the
on
owner,
Untappd.
"You weren't on Untappd." He goes, "I don't need to be. This is a local hangout."
Yeah, he's like, nah.
I don't need, tourists coming
That was
in.
really interesting. So that's another thing. Not every brewery is even listed on Untappd, although most of them are.
But we also found a brewery, I forget where we were, they didn't know about Untappd. Like, we clued them in, and I think they are on now.
Oh, yeah. That was in Nevada.
The Grid.
Yeah, somewhere on Route 50.
Yeah.
In the middle of nowhere. So, yeah. Okay. There you have it. Like, because
It's
you
our
really...
guide, but it has limitations.
You really needed all this information. This is like
in case you're driving across the United States and you're trying to figure out
and
which
you're trying to find
visit.
out which brewery. Not that we would know anything about that. This is like next level beer nerdery.
That would be us. Next level.
But it is an FAQ. How do you guys decide where you're going to go? Now you know. You probably didn't need to know that much, but there it is. Good?
Yep. Good.
All right.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.